Hi everyone, Tom here, and now I'm bringing you the second video in our series of Introduction to Programming. In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to cover functions. Now functions are a very important building block of computer science. Functions are essentially abstract tools that we create in order to solve problems. They're very similar to, say for example, a math formula, in fact. A math formula is a kind of function like a quadratic equation or a quadratic function, in which you input parameters, you put in, certain variables, like, you put in certain variables into the function, and then outspits, an answer that you want to use. So in our case, for computer scientists, our functions do the same thing. Our functions have a name, they take in values, and then they can output stuff depending on those values, or they can even modify the values that are input. So in order to create a function, it's very easy. All you do is first you type in def. Now def stands for define, so you're defining a function. And we're going to define a very simple function right here. We're going to call it the add function. And what this is going to do is it's going to add two numbers together and return the result. So first we have to create parameters. Now parameters are what we're going to pass into the function. So in this case we're going to pass these two parameters x and y, right? And what we're going to do with this x and y is we're going to add them together and assign it to this variable z. So we're going to do x plus y is equal to z. Z equals x plus y. Enter. And now we're going to use a very special keyword. This is called the return, right? Return returns whatever value you want to the calling function. So we're going to return the value of z. We can put anything in here. We can return, hello, or we can return, 3. It'll always be a 3 or always be a hello. But we want, something useful, so we're going to return the value of z. So what we're going to do here is that's it. That's all it is. Whenever you define a function in Python, you have to hit tab. So see right here, these blank spaces right here, that's because I hit the tab key. Make sure you're hitting the tab key or else you won't be able to define a function properly. And make sure you also use a colon here at the end of the definition too, the title definition, to show that you're about to fill in the body of the function. So here we go. Let's try out this add function. We're going to do add 5 and 5. So we should get back 10, right? And there it is, right there. Works perfect. But now you're probably thinking, oh, well, why did you define such a simple function? I mean, isn't it easier to just do 5 plus 5? Well, in some cases, yes, it is easier to do these kind of things, right? But remember, computer science is about creating dynamic programs. What happens if you want to change something, or you want to make it a variable, right? By having functions, we can parameterize these things. We can just put anything that we want in here. 7 plus 5, and if you remember from the last video, concatenation, we might even be able to put in strings as well. Add these two together, and there it goes. It adds them exactly correctly. So let's define a more complicated function. Let's define the Pythagorean theorem. All right. So here we go. We're going to define Pythag, right? So we're using the def keyword, and we're typing in the name of the function, Pythag, and then the parameters that are going to be input. So now let's see, what do we want to input into these parameters? Well, for this function, let's try to calculate the length of the hypotenuse of a triangle. So what we're going to do is we're going to input the variables a and b, being the two sides of the triangle. Hit colon here. And so the length of the hypotenuse is going to be c, and c is equal to the square root of a squared plus b squared, right? So now, how do we do square root? Well, there are a few ways. We can create it ourselves, or we can actually call upon built-in functions in Python. So first, no, we're just going to type it out here. sqrt is going to be the name of the function. We're going to be calling this function. So the square root of a to the second power, right? This double asterisk means to the power, plus b to the power of 2, right? Or What we could do is we can even use our old function that we created before, the add function, and just add these two like that. So this shows that functions can be called inside functions as parameters for functions. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the square root of a to the second power plus b to the second power. And we're going to store that into c. All right? And that'll give us the value of c. And now what we're going to do is we're going to return c. Here we are, and there we are. That's the Pythagorean theorem defined. Let's try it out. We're going to call this function by saying Pythag 3 and 4. And I don't know what answer is going to come out, but hopefully it's something good. 5, right here. Now, if this isn't working at home for you, you might not have actually imported the square function. See, so you're probably wondering, where did this function come from? Well, in order to get built-in functions, you have to do this thing called importing. You have to import these outside functions, right? And so what I had done previously, before you saw in this video, is I'd actually imported the square root function from the math library. Now, a library in programming is kind of a set of functions or a set of objects that have already been pre-written by someone else, and you are basically taking this set of functions and using it for yourself. So, to import, it's very simple. You just type in import, and then you type in the library name. In this case, it's the math library. Enter, and there you are. You've imported the math library. But usually, in order to utilize a library in this way, you have to type in the library name and then the function within the library. But it's a little bit nicer if you just pull out exactly what you want. So in our case, I'd already done from the math library, we want to import the square root function. And there you have it. So now square root is easily callable. And that's about it. It's very simple. Functions, importions, and that's it for today's lesson. Next time we're going to be talking about why functions are useful, like how to utilize them to their fullest extent, right? Because you can always easily type in everything, once or twice, over and over inside the interpreter. But what if you want to do something 100,000 times or 1,000,000 times? 1,000,000 times. That's a lot of times. I don't even know if that's a real number. But next time we're going to cover looping and arrays, and we'll really utilize the full extent of what computers were made to do, and that is repeat actions over and over. But for now, if you like this video, hit like, hit subscribe, and thanks a lot. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.